In 6:30, we will call to order the November meeting of the Five Economic Development Corporation Board. We do have a quorum present. Alice, do we have anybody signed up to speak?
No, ma'am.
Moving on to the regular agenda, item number 1, review and discuss related budget report and financial statement for October 2022.
So I will take up, Mike is very sick today, so we're kind of handling everything, and he and Joanne handle the finances for both boards. So if you just look at the finances, the one thing I can report on is just every month we continue to increase our sales tax. That's been pretty steady between 36% per month, which is fantastic. So we're very, very pleased with that. As far as any of the other stuff, I mean, he is a little more aware of what comes out, what tip payments come out, and do all that kind of stuff. So I'm very appreciative of that. I just kind of focus on bringing things in and he make sure everything gets paid. So if you have any questions, I can try to answer it for you. But like I said, the finances are in front of you. But I can tell you that we are continuing to get an increase of sales tax every month, which is fantastic.
Doing my part.
And we appreciate that.
Does anyone have any questions on the budget report? All right, item number 2, discuss and consider possible action on the meeting minutes for October 10th of 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the October meeting.
Second. We have a motion by Joe Pollard and a second by Linda Childers to approve the October minutes. All those in favor? Unanimous. We would like to go to item 5 next to review that before we move into the other money.
Okay. Yes, absolutely.
Item number 5 is discuss, consider possible action on award of a bid to Falcon Construction Service and Schwartz Hanson for the container park project.
So this is not, we're not approving any money tonight or anything. It's just the construction company. It's the design build with Falcon Construction, which is a military, all military owned corporation. And also the architectural, which is Schwartz Hanson. So no money is being approved tonight. You're just approving the bid, the company that won the bid for the RFQ that we had sent out and put in the paper and did. We had 2 companies.
They'll be the one bringing us the budget.
Yes, they will be the ones. They have their, when we say the design build, they have everybody in this company that will do all the bidding for the material and what they propose it's going to cost. And they will bring it to us every time we want to spend money on anything. They'll bring it to us first, and then you guys will approve it. And that's something we agreed on a long time ago that you wanted. And I'm 100% agree with that. The transparency and everything. We want you to be able to see what you're spending the money on.
When do you foresee starting that project?
So there's a lot of dirt work that needs to be done. The architectural needs to be done. I have to do geotech. We have to do a drainage study. And then we just have to see where that drainage would go in. So there's a lot of dirt work that needs to be done. I would love to start at the beginning of next year after all the holidays is done. So we would get the architect full force doing the renderings and the site plan. And then we decided it'd be cheaper and just would be more beneficial if we already used our current city engineer. He's already familiar with our land and our properties and everything and we wouldn't have to go out and hire another engineering firm. And so we would just get them started right away to see what we would need to do dirt work wise when the drainage study comes back, the geotech and all that.
But you said before ago that it'd be over $2 million. When is that $2 million going to be? Is that going to be in this fiscal year?
This is probably going to take around 2 years for us to build out. So it'll be incremental.
I guess what I'm asking, okay, and the reason I asked is we've just moved up to a lot of expenditures this tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And where is the money going to come from? Just because we do all the other things.
Sure.
I'm a little bit concerned that we're going to have the money to be able to do that this fiscal year.
So, as I said, we'll be able to phase it out and spend the money as we go, because we can do a few containers at a time, build it out, get it going. and functioning as we're adding. We did talk originally that we'd really love to have it just phased out, just get it all done so you can have it up and running. I mean, we never know what's going to happen, but our sales tax just continues to grow. We're doing well. So any of that money that's spent throughout the year, I think we would have plenty. I mean, we all plenty of money to do all this stuff. So we have designed it specifically in phases for this situation. So we are not just spending $2 million right off the bat and then something happens, but we're going to be doing it to where we can actually afford it and we're not cutting our nose off to spite our face so we don't have anything left over. I mean, we're going to be smart with the money. We're going to make sure we have the funds to do it. I would prefer to build this out with the actual funds that we have in our general fund. This is not an aspect where we're going to loan any money for. This is going to be something that we pay cash for as we go along.
That's a sort of what my concern was.
Sure.
The sales tax was what happened. We're actually only over 3,000. We got 54.5 and we budgeted 52. And that law that's been passed already that had been put in force that takes away Amazon and all those sales taxes, then we're going to take probably a 30 or 40% hit. You know, so it's, you know, that's
Sure. And we do have some other companies that are coming in. We have like that other manufacturing company that has been doing really well. We have some more franchises coming in that will continue to do well. We keep an eye every month. We keep an eye on that sales tax, and because we like to estimate what we have coming in.
sure.
And I love though. I mean, it's smart that we are budgeting low because it's always nicer to have more money than
Yeah.
what you bring
End
in.
up with a nice surplus.
Yes.
No, Mike is gonna check on that, passing of that law. Do we have any report on that?
We don't, because this is all the legislative, and I think it'll be not this year, it'll be
Yeah, but
23. 3 or 4. Yeah, because it's every 2 years with the legislation. And so we've been keeping an eye on it. And if it gets any, we will probably make a presence in Austin. And so will Burleson. Every small town is stressing about this. The only ones that are hoping this goes through are the ones that, yes. So this is something, you guys, I have been in economic development for 5 years, and this is every time this comes up, this has been an issue. So it's something we heavily keep an eye on because it's going to be detrimental if this shifts. So we just have to fight and make sure that these small towns are representative. Usually TML does that for us, but sometimes we have to make a presence up there in Austin when all this happens and kind of make some noise. So they realize this is going to hurt these little cities. You know, it's not going to hurt Dallas. It's not going to hurt Fort Worth. It's going to hurt little cities like us. So we need to be heard. So we are, to answer your question, we're keeping an eye on it.
And these were this company and others, they went before scoring committee to review them.
They did 5 people total did the scoring on the RFQ, and the totals came out, and the Falcon and Sports Hansen were the winners. We had a scoring criteria. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Most of you are used to those little committees, and they won by quite a bit. Actually, the other company didn't have any. They're a great retail company, like for big box stores, but they didn't have that niche. And then Falcon has a specific carpenter that does unique jobs for the Fort Worth Zoo, the museums, and all of that. And that's kind of what we were looking for, and they fit that criteria perfectly.
Questions?
So we're not talking about any funds tonight on this.
No.
But when would we be looking at allocating that first release of funds?
So what you will approve tonight is just give us the authority to start working with them so they can start doing their due diligence. They'll start pricing the product. They'll start looking at the containers. They'll start doing all the stuff to outfit that. And then they create like a what's the word I'm looking for? They will be able to outfit this to let us know the amount that we're actually looking at. And again, keep in mind, prices are still elevated. Within a year, when we're really starting, hopefully the prices will be down and we'll be able to save money. But you did approve 100,000 for me to start doing like the architectural stuff, the geotech, all of that to get started. But I will bring you each time to say we need this amount of money. And if you approve it, that's great. If you say we just can't afford it right now, then we just kind of put it off. So that's the beauty. And we can hold special meetings if we need to. So we're not waiting a month. But that's kind of the beauty of this project is we can phase it out and pay for what we need. But once we get the big stuff done, the dirt work, all of that, because that's all costly too, we'll be able to kind of hit the ground running and it'll move pretty fast.
I guess my only concern, over 2 years.
I just assume, I mean, I'm just throwing that number out there because you never know.
Is that, you think, equal is
Probably front loaded. Because you're gonna want to start with the big containers and get it rented and get it leased out. I mean, in a perfect world, we want it all done and then open it all at once. Because that's the grandeur of it. It looks pretty. Once I get the definite renderings, I will be emailing those out to you guys so you guys can actually see the progress. So we won't have to wait once a month for you to see the progress. I'll blind CC you on that so you can't respond, but you'll be able to see the progress and what the product's going to look like. Some of you had already seen some of the renderings of it and the kind of the ideas that we had for it. That might change a little bit here and there depending on the dirt and what we have going on. It could, I only foresee it getting way better, but it looks really, really cool right now. It's really classy. It's looks fancy. With the small amount that we're spending and then what we're putting in there, it's pretty spectacular to where that's what I'm looking for. I want people to walk in there and go, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing. So that's kind of what we're going for.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion. We go ahead and give our auditors make it to show. Service and discharging.
Second,
Oh, sure.
I have a motion by Lyndon Childers and a second by David Morgan that we award the bid to Falcon Construction Service and Sports Hanson for a container park project. All those in favor? All those opposed? Unanimous? We will go back to number 3. This is discuss possible action on an increase in funding on a joint funding agreement for the offshore energy.
So again, this was something Mike was going to present to you as well. So I will do the best I can to kind of, most of you already know the update of the 16-inch water line that's coming in through Main Street and then down to 174. Unfortunately, when they did the bids, it came in triple of what we originally planned. I think originally we were going to put in 750,000 the city had committed, and then the type A board was going to pay 100,000 of that to offset it a little bit. Well, then now that bid came in at 3.9 million. The city's participation, which I believe they went to council and they decided they will not exceed 1.75 million period for the city's contribution on that. So I guess what the city is asking the A board is if they are able to contribute any amount. They're 350,000 to 500,000.
That's including the 100,000 already.
No,
That's in addition.
I mean, I'm sorry. Yes, it included it. It would have been total. But he's just asking you to discuss it to see what you're willing. He was saying whatever, but then we kind of pushed him and said, well, give us a number.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and what he said a few minutes ago in the text is, he's asking between 350 and 500,000. It won't be due until April, May, June. And then he can go over some different financial options in December. He decided to go this route.
So they will be paying like the 1.1 out of the TIF, that will be supplemented as well to help on the city side.
So the information that I know about this, so this was a project that is going to impact the water for the whole of the city. It's not only going to impact people that are directly along that water line. So some of the concerns for the businesses who have made decisions to stop coming into Joshua, because the original plan was Jason would pay for a third, he said he would pay for a third, there would be a third that would be covered developers. And it was that we are going to get that back with 10 developers. With it, so it's divided by 10. So you had very small Wendy's coming in and they were going to be hit with a very large amount. And then you had maybe a larger developer that had, 100 houses, he was still going to pay that same amount. So it was very disproportionate. And we had businesses who have made the decision not to come to Joshua specifically because of that. Especially because they did not understand, why am I having to pay for it if I'm not tying directly into this water line? It is a significant increase in water flow for the city. So it was poorly explained by Jason. And Mike has worked very hard to try to clarify and really understand what is the deal? What is the impact? How can I explain to the community and businesses and what the real impact is? And so ultimately, different discussions with council and our group, this is something that is going to have an impact on the citizens, that is going to have an impact on businesses making a decision to come in or not. So I agree that the city should determine, we should do our part to cover this cost and then figure out how we're going to, cover that. Is it something where EDC is covering a chunk of it because that's going to discourage or encourage businesses from coming in, or not, but it is going to be an impact on the entire city to have this line, this improvement coming in.
You're saying we go ahead and agree to spend the money, but not know where it's coming from.
Well, the city is, I believe the city has already entered into the agreement with JSEC. I think the agreement of the city paying for 50% of it. I think that's, or is that on this month's?
It's on this month.
So, I mean, I think there had been an agreement to pay a third. I think that had already been covered, but then whenever we had the issue with the developers just throwing down and not wanting to contribute towards that, JSEC decided, okay, well, we'll pay 50% instead of a third, and the city is going to pay 50% instead of a third. So we take the developers out of it. So it's JSEC and it's the city. That's who's paying. The bigger problem is the price of it has significantly gone up from what it originally was when they were talking about this.
That was Jason that did the initial estimate and then through it. I guess my deal is, I think it's something that definitely needs to be done. One problem I've got is in the contract, it still says project costs to the future end users of the services contemplated by this agreement will be based on a mutually agreeable formula between JSUD and the city.
Where is that? Because is
Right
that,
there in the contract, paragraph number 1 in the contract.
because that was something that Ron was concerned about. And I thought I looked through that today.
Yeah, it's on, right there where it says cost participation agreement, number 1. What's page 1 of this agreement that says copy participation agreement.
Right.
JSUD should be the very first page after the little So talking with Mike said what it's gonna be is there won't be any shared costs. Each developer would have to pay the normal impact fee and the cost of the water, meter, which I have no problem with at all.
Right, that's standard.
But I don't want something to come back later where all of a sudden Jason would say, well, that didn't do it, so we really need to get some additional cost. That's not what this agreement intended. So I would say I'm in favor of if we need to kick in some more money, but not with this contract right here. I think they need to specifically state what it is that the city's getting and what the developers are gonna actually have to pay. Like I said, if it's the impact fee and the meter, that's perfect.
Parties acknowledge that the project will enhance economic development opportunities, and therefore the parties agree with the project costs to future end users of the services under this agreement will be based on mutually agreed upon. So I agree with you, and I thought that Ronnie had said that because that was his concern about it. And I know that's Flint's concern about it. And I thought that they had said that they had spoken, that Mike had spoken to Pete about that, and I thought that that was.
Well, that's what, and Mike said that that's what it is, but again, what they're saying, what's in
Yeah.
writing
Yeah.
is two different
Because the problem is, and if you go or watch, there's more coming. There's going to be more developments that's going to come, and there's going to be something else down the road because everything is developing that way, and there's another water tower, and then there's this is not the end of
Yeah,
significance than what Jay said, so.
and that's what I want to get, I think we need to nail it down, exactly what it is we're supposed to be getting, and if it's.
So I think that question is probably for the council discussion on actually confirming the contract itself. Is my guess, because that's actual verbiage that's in there.
Well, I would say then that our motion would be, we will approve additional funds, assuming that gets clarified to our.
So if we are able to decide on a number pending clarification of this, then that's.
That's
And I
correct.
think we can do.
Then we
that.
can have it changed by council,
Right.
in time for them to see it and understand what the recommendation was from this board.
Can y'all give me an abbreviated version of why it's a 50-50 when the entity that is going to be receiving money from the businesses? I'm confused.
Okay, the reason for it is like Shelley said, what they decide, what next up is gonna do is, we're just gonna take the next 10 people that wanna do business in the city of Joshua, they're gonna pay for all this money. I mean, they're even charging Salmon Homes, which is out in Joshua Meadows, they were one of the next 10, and they were charging them a chunk of money. Out over and above the impact fees, and which about, I think it's about $6,000 that they have to pay just to hook up a water meter. So this is, we had, Wendy said, hey, we're out of here. Whataburger has basically said that. Now, I think there's been some negotiations trying to get them to stay if we do something to this. But what we're trying to do is, this is going to benefit everybody along 174 in the whole city. So that hopefully other people will be coming on and signing, adding new businesses and everything. But getting those first 10 to pay for it, if we don't do anything, they're just all gonna back out.
I think what your question may be though, to answer that is, Jason is a special utility district. It is not a for-profit water.
Okay.
The ratepayers go into a special utility district.
Okay.
So that is one thing that is not completely clear to everyone. They are not out getting rich off of this.
Okay.
And people in Joshua have worked very hard over the past 4 years to encourage change in the leadership at JFED. If we have more confidence in the board that is in place now than he was there before as being more financially responsible. They are not perfect by any means.
Sure.
But it is by far improvement as far as the transparency and understanding what is happening
But that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand. It is not a good company. It's such a important push for the That's- That is why we have to pay towards the infrastructure.
Sure.
The sewer, Joshua, the city of Joshua is the only people who are impacted by sewer, so we, it's on us.
Sure.
So,
Well, I think as an economic development, it's highly important these people are pulling out. And we're saying the last 4 years, we want these people in here, then something has to be done. And I mean, y'all know more of the history than I do about working with JSAT, but I'm for allocating what we can to assist the city if it's benefiting everybody, like you're saying.
so how do we decide what we think is?
Well, and that, for me, brings up another deal. If we're saying, they're wanting 350, then I think the container deal has to wait a little bit. I mean, unless somebody can come up and say, okay, yes, we definitely, nobody's brought to us a budget showing, okay, here's the money and here's how we're going to pay for it. So
Right.
I'm very nervous about approving all these expenditures and not knowing where the money's coming from. But I would say priority, I think James said is my number one priority. Because it's actually going to impact the container part, There's going to be more, if it doesn't get done, then the container part is going to actually be having to spend more money.
Right. The infrastructure's got to be there.
Yeah.
And would this be an immediate expenditure, do you think?
No,
I think they got somewhere in there they had how it was going to get paid.
April?
yeah, between April and June is what he told me a
Yeah.
few minutes ago.
Which we will have
So
that time to.
25% will be submitted to Jason prior to the start of construction.
So this is the city's portion.
Yeah, and they could put out of the tip, there's enough money in the tip that they could actually make that first payment. Ours might not be due till, later on. But again, I wish we had something in front of us that sort of laid that out so we can decide, okay, if we're going to commit to this money and we're going to have to pay it in June, then do we still have enough money left over to be spending money on the container part?
So we do have that time to figure that out, to where when that is due or you pay this, because I agree, this is more important. We have lost a couple of businesses because of this and we don't want to lose anymore. And we are trying to bring those people back. I think Wendy's is talking to Wendy's. We are working on bringing them back, but I think they lost the property that they were looking at. So it is important, but I think we'll be able to piecemeal the other projects out strategically and fiscally and financially, without losing anything. Because we can do these in stages and we can do it slow and then we know where we're at, but you're absolutely right. I won't know until I get them on board where they can actually do that analysis and we'll know exactly where we stand.
Right.
Yeah, so this is 25% of the actual bid price. So the city is paying 25% up front. And then the remainder is until the letter of petition is ready. So we've got some time.
So I don't know if it helps. Alice did just a little bit of calculations here. And so if you go with the total amount, you want to find your figures and tell them what you did. So the city is going to be paying 1.75. That's our cap. That's the max we're going to be paying. And then with the TIF, the 1.1 million minus that is 650,000 left over.
Yeah.
So, but every little bit that we pay
Yeah.
helps. And then maybe next year when it's due,
So
if we
taking out
have
the
money.
tip, what's the total of that?
650,000.
But I think the city will pay part of that.
That's
too.
right.
They
Yes.
weren't coming
Yes. No, they weren't, but I was just giving you an idea.
He was asking us to pick
Well,
five.
350 to 5. I think that would be,
Because originally you had committed to 100,000.
and that's in the budget, since that was
Yes.
okay, because
Yeah.
we've already got that in the budget, that's what we got for this year.
And I think we have like 1.1 million in the
So what
general
is
fund.
50%? So tell me, what is 50% after the tip?
Let's see, total amount minus that, right? So be
We got 300.
uh-huh.
600.
About 350,000.
So we're approving an additional $350,000?
Total.
No,
100,000?
no, it's already, I've already done it, so I'm saying you
We're
already do it.
increasing to a total now.
So, and we've said it's triple in price.
Yeah.
So if we, you go from 100,000 to 300,000. We're smart.
I don't have a problem with the 350, but again, I think it needs to be, we pay ours last if they use the money out, which that money's already there, so they should be able to pay.
Right,
that.
and he did say it won't be due until between April and June,
Okay.
and he can bring back some financing options in December. Or funding options.
I mean, I would be okay with making a motion that we do the 350,000, but we wouldn't be paying our share until the June, April, May, June, July, and also contingent upon getting something that shows that the developers will not have to pay anything over and above the impact fee and water.
Towards this project, this specific project. Because there are going to be, like I said, there's other stuff that's going to have to come down the line.
Well, what's this, which properties will be involved in this specific project?
Well, that's what I'm saying. This has an impact on the entire city.
Right, I agree with
Yeah, but
But if they got other stuff, so let's say next year, they decides to put something in down at Indian Hills, and they gotta come back and somebody else wants, and we do the container park, and they goes, oh, well, you weren't included in that original deal, you've gotta still pay additional development fees. That's what I feel like we need to get.
I agree.
That needs to be locked in, and if it only affects certain properties, then I think we need to know what those properties are.
maybe we should go.
Four to 9 o'clock.
Is that an official motion?
Well, and so my motion is that we'll do 350,000 that we don't want to pay until April, and that we want something that clearly states what it is that the developers are, what advantages are we going to be able to give to the developers by doing this agreement?
We've got one in the contracts. Or in the. Yeah. Clarification on, future.
Right.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Joe Holler and a second by Mr. Burns to. Yes, so for our total amount, our total contribution to not exceed $350,000 on the back end. Then middle line, square away line, item 1.
Perfect.
All those in favor? It carries. Item number 4. Discuss consider possible action or approval of the loan documents from Pinnacle Bank for the 3.556 acres in Joshua Station and all matters consent and related thereto.
So if it makes you feel any better, you guys already approved this. We're just bringing this to you to see the loan paperwork, and we had asked them to do it, because again, I believe in complete transparency. The loan paperwork it's a lot to read. You guys don't have to, it has like resolute, all that kind of stuff in it. For Shelley, and then the council will also approve it Thursday. We'll look at it and go over it. We did put it as an action item because I like to be thorough and I like it to show on the minutes that, again, you looked at the loan paperwork and you are approving it again. I did ask, because I guess on the city side, on the finance part, it's easier for finance to do the annual payments instead of quarterly. And that's how they set this up. We set it up as a 5-year right now.
Why did we do a 5-year? Why did
Because
we
it gives,
do like-
because it gives us the option to, they liked the idea that they would be getting some kind of interest before we paid it off. And then we have a no payment, no early. I mean, we could pay it off in 2 years. But I just had them do a 5-year. We could extend it if we needed to or anything like that. And they're covering 100%. So we're not spending
I'm gonna
it
go
that
with
general
that,
fund.
like I said, that was my concern is that in 5 years, the rates could go down. they could
Yes.
Go up, but I don't see us paying it off with all these other things. we're going to do.
Yes.
I think this is gonna be something.
I was thinking the same thing because there's so much going on. There's so much development happening. So I always like to think on the positive side, and because we have a lot of development coming in, which means more sales tax
So,
coming in.
there's something in this that you're working, I don't remember seeing it, where we can refinance it, that having a Pinnacle will do the refinance.
Yes. And so let me see if it's got that on here. Sorry. So there is a voluntary prepayment on here, a limited obligation. Hang on. It's just a lot. There's a lot to read.
So, like that, you can't find it tonight, you can just send us something, I mean, I don't have no way.
Yeah.
Proving it, but that, I would like to know that.
Make sure that's in there.
Like I said, I don't foresee us, paying this thing off the next 2 years.
And I just wanted us to be able to have that option. Because they said, well, if we do 100%, would you give us at least a couple years to where, so they can make interest off of it before, and it's a prepayment, or we have no prepayment penalty. And I said, look, I'm going to be honest with you. We want to pay this off as quick as we can. We don't want this debt, but I don't want to spend all the money we have in our general fund because we have all these other projects happening. So we didn't have to do a down payment. They funded 100% of it. But yes, I will make sure.
And the other thing, when the contract for the museum comes up, will that be coming before us?
For the contract for what?
Well,
With the SWAU, with
Yeah.
the, yes.
Okay.
And anything that has to do with that will be put in front of you.
I
So,
want to make sure that if anything should happen, we get the land back or get paid for it. I don't know what, if, we're putting it up, and as long as they're there, then they don't owe us anything, but if 3 years down the road, they decided that we're gonna close this thing down,
agree,
we get our money back.
agree.
So the
And I
land-
have been in contact with them. As a matter of fact, they have the whole, I am meeting with them at the end of this month with the university. They're all coming out to look at the lot. We already have a letter of intent in with them. They only meet once a quarter, so she's got to get the board to look at that. It's a simple letter of intent saying the university has agreed to go into, I don't want to call it a partnership, but so we kept it simple. But yes, all of your concerns are valid. We did discuss this with them, saying that there's got to be some sort of retribution on our end
Right.
if it fails. Because we do deserve to get our money back, unless it's 10 years down the road.
Yeah,
They've
if
kind of,
that, and I think.
but yeah.
Over that period of time, I don't have a problem putting
Yeah.
something in there saying, hey, it's negotiable.
Sure. Sure.
All right, well, I'll make a motion then that, we approve. What are we approving? The contract with Pinnacle Bank, that basically what we're approving.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll make a motion that we, approve the contract with Pinnacle Bank, with a note in the amount of,
No, just for the 3.5%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you have a second? A second. A motion by Joe Pollard, a second by the Childers to approve the loan documents for Pinnacle Bank for the 3.596 acre in Joshua Station and all matters. 2, all of those in favor? Unanimous? Item 6, discuss consider possible action regarding the contract with Civic Plus to build a website for the economic development in the amount of $1,500.
So I'm happy to say this is very inexpensive. So
Now, that's the one and only payment, so that's the.
It's
design and
annual.
the Maintenance. And
Yes.
everything.
because we already have a contract with the city. And so that the contract that you see in front of you, it is annual. It's 1,500 and that's for them to build it. That's for them to work with me. Cause myself and Amber will be the ones that will be maintaining it. And when I say that, I'll be able to put new photos on there and post real estate and update projects and things like that. We didn't want to put the burden on Alice either. So Amber volunteered to help me do that. 1,500 a year, and that includes the normal like maintenance on it. Like if there's any issues, we can call them and they'll fix it.
They're gonna be posting it as well.
They will host it as well. So $1,500, I was extremely happy when he told me that. So most EDCs have their own website. One page that you share with the city is just not enough. I have plans to put like drone footage and advertise, things coming in and updates on projects and potential real estate that we're trying to get franchises in. Because most entities, they will go to your EDC websites first.
We've already got it.
It's a link, well, it's part of the city website, but the city is in the process of redoing. We actually contracted with Civic Plus, so they're rebuilding a whole new site for us. It's almost ready. So when the EDC is done, that we'll still have the EDC there. They click on it and take it directly to that site.
It'll be a
Well,
separate link.
before then, we actually
Yeah.
had a website that you could go to. It was an EDC website.
Oh,
It
was
showed
it?
the properties there. It wasn't very good. so
Yeah.
it was
Oh, yeah. And you want it to be, I'm really picky about this. To me, if I have to click more than twice to find something, if I have to search for something, I'm done. And I don't want ours to be like,
phone too. It's not really
Yes.
That's right.
website.
and it will be mobile, accessible as well. I'm super excited about this. I've already, when we Zoom called, he showed me some examples. And so we're not going to reinvent the wheel. I've seen things that I've liked and it should be up and running pretty quick, but I was pretty excited to bring you guys something really expensive.
I'll make a motion to go with Civic to do the new website for the EDC.
Joe Howard and second by David Morgan to approve the contract with Civic Plus to build a website for the economic development in the amount of $1,500. All of those in favor? Unanimous. Item number 7, discuss consider possible action on approval of the proposed establishment improvement agreements.
So again, this was something that's been brought to you guys a few times. I think you have all looked it over and I think it is all completed with your changes. So that's what we are asking you to, I guess, to officially approve the wording and the actual facade grant improvement paperwork.
And the funding for this is coming off in ARPA fund.
Yes, on the city side, yes.
So is that our side? I mean, are we?
No, I believe they had set 100, but the city had put something towards, we have like 100,000 total.
Yeah, but I thought that-
It's in the budget.
So how much is coming out of our pocket? Not how much part was- I thought it was all coming out of our pocket.
Is this the, sorry. let me see.
The facade improvement program is funded with revenues generated from the city general fund, ARPA funding, and tax pay.
Yeah.
So. How much?
I'm sorry, yeah, this was something that Mike was working on. I apologize that I'm not more up to speed on this project.
Yeah, I don't recall how it was split. I just know we've been.
What's in the-
It's done in August. We just kept going back and forth with council.
Let me see if it's in our finances.
Now, if I remember correctly, when we did a budget this year, there was funds allocated from the EDC.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's what I was looking to see.
So,
I had a line.
yes, and I think they did 100,000, but that doesn't necessarily, it's not all coming out of A. I think
Yeah,
that's,
we have a monthly budget item here. Yeah, towards the side. So it is out of our budget. $100,000.
facade grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was just back and forth on the requirements and how we're gonna maintain and how we're gonna be decided upon and. I think this was just the final. Verbiage.
Right, I'll make a motion to approve the proposed facility improvement.
Have a motion by Joe Pollard and a second by Linda Childers to approve the proposed facade improvement grant. All of those in favor? Raise your hand. I remember A. Proposed Discuss consider possible action to change the regular meeting time for type A Economic Development Corporation. Because it is 17 and we're just barely. And we always run over. And I think that we should move this meeting start time Tuesday the following instead of 6:30. So that we're not inconveniencing our time. We have a motion.
I'll make a motion to remove our meeting time to 6 o'clock.
And a motion by Bill Holland, and a second by David Morgan to move the type A Economic Development Corporation start time to 6 p.m. All those in favor? It is 7:16. Do we have any future agenda items that we can discuss?
Did you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
All right, it is 7:16. We will adjourn.
Hallelujah.